Welcome. I'm so glad you could take the time to join me today. Recently I did a video where I performed some upgrades on my PowerMac G5. I put in a 1TB SSD and I upgraded the graphics card. What I want to do today is to take a look at what that has accomplished. So if you're interested in that, please stay tuned. Alright, as part of the testing of the video card I put in, I've been watching movies. Now this is iTunes 10, where I have found it is possible for me to sign in to my iTunes account and download movies that I have already purchased. And here we are. Tonight I'm going to watch The Terminal. And here it comes. Now, I really can't actually record the playing of the movie because that would run into copyright infringement for sure. But I did just download this afternoon, having signed into my account, and there's a trick to that. I'll be happy to let anyone know what that trick is. You open iTunes, you have to try to activate home sharing. When you do that, your two-factor authentication will leap into action. Just signing into the iTunes store doesn't do it. Nothing else does that I've found. Home sharing, though, I tried to activate home sharing. I put in my Apple ID password, and then my other devices started sending out messages to approve that and giving the code that's needed. You just put the code in immediately after the password you've just typed in, send that again, and bang, you're in. And you can get, you could probably buy new iTunes items, but I was only interested in trying to download and play some of the ones that I already had. And it does work. And I do watch them in full screen, and everything looks quite good. This Apple Cinema display is pretty cool. It's not as sharp as a 4K display, certainly, but there's a warmth to it. That's about the only way I can describe it. Well, in just a bit, we'll take a more in-depth look at YouTube playing, but this has been a very worthy upgrade so far. Stay tuned. Well, I have shut down the computer and have the camera now on the tripod, so it won't be jiggling all over the place. I actually shot that last clip last night when I was watching a movie. Figured I'd toss it in, short as it was. But now we're going to maybe take a little bit deeper look. First thing we're going to do, what with the SSD in there now, we're going to check the startup times. Now I have to admit, I don't remember how long it was taking to start up prior to putting in the SSD. It didn't seem terribly long. But anyhow, for the record, there's the chime. Took about 6 seconds to get to the chime. Some people do time it from the chime. I just timed it from roughly when I hit the button. I think I started the timer a little bit before. Okay, now we get video. It's about 24 seconds till video showed up. there's the desktop, and we're fully loaded. Now I've got that 47 seconds. It may have been a little quicker than that, depending on my reflexes. I'm perfectly happy with that. It probably does seem a little faster with the SSD, although we do have to know that regardless of how fast an SSD you put in, the SSD that I put in, you may remember, is an OWC Mercury 3G, which is a SATA 2 SSD, which is backwards compatible to SATA 1, which is what this machine has. The SATA 3 SSDs are not backwards compatible as far as SATA 1. Anyhow, since we're up here, let's take a look at About This Mac, because there's some sort of federal regulation about Mac videos that you have to look at About This Mac. And we still have our dual 1.8 gigahertz power PC with the 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now, more to the point, graphics and displays, and there we see the ATI Radeon 9600 XT and the total VRAM, 128 megabytes. All right, well, since we have that, I think there's not much to be said about the SSD upgrade. It's obvious. We've got the Leopard installed, we've got Tiger installed, we've got a data, which is quite big. The 500 gig hard drive is still there. I have wiped it clean now, so we have quite a bit of storage on this machine. And this OWC Mercury Elite AL Pro would be the Time Machine backup drive when I get around to doing that. All right. But the star of this particular show is that ATI Radeon 9600. So let's fire up WebKit, which I've set to take me directly to YouTube. For most other browsing, I tend to use 10.4 Fox, which is a little more compatible to all websites, but doesn't do nearly as good a job with YouTube. All right, and of course there's a bunch of videos that show up on my homepage here, but we don't want to look at any of those due to copyright restrictions. So we're going to look at my videos. All right, and well, since we're talking about the Power Mac, we might as well go right to the upgrade video. Now, as soon as it starts here,
welcome and thank you.
Flip it back so we're not seeing me with my eyes closed. It's set now to 360p. We might as well play it at that and see how it does. It's fully loaded now.
Welcome and thank you for taking the time to join me today.
Absolutely fine.
Upgrading my 2003
Not dropping a frame.
1.8 gigahertz.
No lagging at all. Everything looks really good.
I've worked on it.
Okay, well, how nice. But let's see if we can go to 720. Now what I'm going to need to do is play it and then stop it again.
Welcome and thank you for taking the time to join me today.
To let it load up at 720. That's not completely loaded, but that's probably enough, and it will finish loading up.
Welcome
There we go.
and thank you for taking the time to join me today.
Maybe a little stuttering right at the beginning, but
upgrading my 2003 dual 1.8
Looks
gigahertz
very good to me.
Powermac G5.
No lag between the audio and the
I've worked on
video.
in the past, and you've seen video.
All right. Well, okay, now that's very good, but tell you the truth, I could watch 720p video on the 64 megabyte graphics card. Well, let's see about theater mode.
Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to join me today.
Absolutely fine.
Today, I'm going to be upgrading my 2003 dual 1.8 gigahertz Powermac G5. I've worked on that machine in the past.
Oh, well and good. Let's take it full screen. This would be the big test. I was unable to play YouTube videos full screen. At least with any kind of reasonable playback.
Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to join me
Maybe a
today.
little stuttering right at the beginning there. But
Today, I'm going to be upgrading my 2003
this looks just
dual
fine.
1.8 gigahertz Powermac G5. I've worked on that machine in the past, and you've seen videos, or you can if you have not yet seen them. It's quite a worthy machine. One thing I haven't done though is the graphics card. This is an ATI graphics card with 128 megabytes of video RAM, which is
All right, now I'm gonna scrub ahead a little bit here.
along for the ride. I had taken the drawer off this thing in preparation for doing the upgrades when it occurred to me that I had really intended
Just
to
want to check that
clone
we're still at 720. Yep, we're still at 720.
the existing installations of Leopard and Tiger
All right.
onto the new SSD. So I put it back together, plugged it in.
Now this, I
And
think I was doing
found that
handheld, which is
The
why you're.
SSD from
I'm kind of drifting there.
OWC
Sorry about that.
was not initialized, so I initialized
All right.
it.
And maybe we can scrub ahead a little more. Boy, I spent a lot of time on this, didn't I? Okay, so here we are with the actual upgrades taking place.
Right. It's certainly not necessary at all to remove the hard drive. In fact, it might make it a little bit more difficult. But it should help in changing the graphics card.
But this is looking really good. Now, let me get to a point where
Mechanisms. To lock the card in, it'll be down like that, so that the drive is not gonna come out. To get it out, you just move the locking mechanism like that. You can see there are two drives in there. This is drive A, this is drive B.
okay, still gonna pull ahead because I want to get to a point, okay, here where it's actually on the tripod.
Hold onto the screw and removing the card.
Sorry.
We'll start it there.
Okay. And again, a little further into the video. We get back to the computer itself.
I wouldn't say.
Oh yes, this is where I'm restarting it into Leopard. Okay. But I think you can see here the main point. 720p video plays very, very well. Looks fine. Even taking it into full screen, no issues whatsoever. Alright, so I think we can get out of this now. Go back to the default view and we can just close out of WebKit. Alright, so clearly this has been a very, very successful upgrade on both counts. I wanted to replace that hard drive. Once I got it out, it's a Western Digital. It actually must have been added in much, much more recently because the date on the drive is 2012. Still, we're looking at a couple of older hard drives. You can never tell when they might be about to fail. So I feel much better at having a new SSD in there, as well as the other storage space. This is quite a worthy machine. I use it quite a bit, to tell you the truth, and I think having that additional storage space is going to be a very, very valuable thing. Yes, indeed, among all of the Power Macs that I now own, this would be the king. It can do the most, clearly. All right, now one thing that I have done is to order a 256 megabyte video RAM graphics card. Unfortunately, it's coming from Hong Kong and air shipments are suspended from Hong Kong at this point, so it's going to take a long time for it to get here. But I will be interested in seeing what kind of difference this makes, since obviously doubling from the 64 has made a big difference. Doubling again could make that much more difference. Worth finding out. And the other thing I'd like to do, now that I've seen firsthand just what a difference this can make, is perhaps to go back and revisit the least powerful PowerMac G4 that I have. The Sawtooth. You may recall on that machine I put every possible operating system from OS 9 up through Leopard, everything that a PowerPC Mac can boot, with the exception of OS 8. It is on the slow side, certainly, running Leopard, and for that matter, even Tiger. And there's certain aspects of Leopard that don't perform well. So I'm wondering, if I try a graphics upgrade on that machine, can we get that a little bit closer to maybe actually being able to play YouTube? That's the big thing to look at. If we can, that would kind of fulfill a goal that I have of getting a computer from the last century to actually function here in the modern world. Not as a primary computer, certainly, but as a secondary. It'll be interesting to find that out. So I hope you'll be able to stay tuned for that one when I get to doing that. But as far as this video, I think we're pretty much at the end. So be good to other people. I think we all need someone to be good to us. And with that in mind, be good to yourselves. You all deserve it. Take very good and careful care in these difficult times, and we will be seeing you soon.